One night, 4 students stayed out late, completely disregarding the test they had the next day. And before school the next morning, they hatched a brilliant plan to avoid taking the test. They covered themselves with grease and dirt and went to the principal's office. And they told him all about how their car had gotten a flat tire the previous night on their way home from a wedding, and how they had to spend the whole night pushing it home. And the principal listened attentively to their tale of woe and kindly offered them a retest on the following day. The students gratefully accepted the offer and spent the whole night studying in anticipation of the test. And when they arrived at the principal's office the next morning, he separated them into 4 different rooms before handing them their test papers. The test had only 2 questions. 1, what's your name? 2, which tire popped? You see, truth is powerful, crucial, and one of the core values in Judaism. Without truth, we lack a higher purpose, a foundation to our existence. And in Parshas Yisro, Klal Yisrael hear the ultimate truth, the Aseres Hadibros, as they embrace their lofty mission in this world. We're commanded to treat every parsha, pasuk, and word in the Torah with equal awe and respect, and yet there's a prevailing custom to stand in shul as the Aseres Hadibros are read, seemingly attributing unique significance to them. The Aseres Hadibros are carved above the Aron in almost every shul, and we view them as the foundation of the Torah. So what is it about these words that merit special treatment? Now, in order to understand the centrality and importance of these 10 commandments, we have to delve into their deeper meaning. We have to ask the following question as well. Why are the Dibros split into 2 separate groups, the right side and the left side? Why fragment the ultimate expression of oneness into 2 separate pieces? Well, the commentators explain that while the mitzvos on the right side of the luchos are bein adam l'makam, between man and God, the mitzvos on the left side are bein adam l'chavero, between man and his fellow man. And there are layers of meaning behind this division. The simplest lesson is that it's fundamentally important to both treat our fellow man properly and to serve Hashem. Both hold extreme value. One shouldn't view mitzvos bein adam l'chavero as purely a means to connecting with Hashem. When engaged in a mitzvah bein adam l'chavero, between man and his fellow man, you should see the infinite value of every human being and treat them with the dignity they deserve. When one visits the sick or gives charity or helps one in need, this is not merely the fulfillment of Hashem's mitzvah, it's also an opportunity to help and connect with another person. And the deeper meaning of this parallel is that each and every human being is created b'tselem Elokim, as an extension and expression of Hashem in this world. And while mitzvahs bein adam l'makom guide us along our individual journey back to Hashem, the mitzvahs bein adam l'chavero, between us and our fellow man, they inspire within us the understanding that we're part of a collective, higher, interconnected self, Klal Yisrael, and that we as a united nation and whole are a reflection of Hashem in this world. And while the general juxtaposition of the mitzvahs on the right and left sides of the luchos carries fundamental significance, there's a powerful connection between the specific commandments on each side as well. Each individual dibra on the right parallels the corresponding dibra on the left, and together they make up a unified whole of connection to both Hashem and one's fellow man. So let's explore these connections in detail. The first dibra is Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am Hashem your God, the statement that establishes Hashem as the life force of the world, the source of reality. And this statement both requires us to recognize this fundamental truth and commit to living a life faithful to it. The first dibra on the left side of the luchos, parallel to the dibra of Anochi Hashem Elokecha, is Lo Tirtzach, the prohibition against murder. Hashem created each and every human being with a chilek elokam imal, a spark of godliness from above, and killing another human being eliminates that spark from the world. Anochi Hashem expresses the ultimate source of life and existence, while murder is the ultimate shattering of existence. And furthermore, the ability to take away life belongs only to the one who gives life. Murdering another person claims the power and authority to eliminate a person's life, essentially claiming, I am Hashem, the controller of life. Accordingly, murder directly contradicts the truth of Anochi Hashem Elokecha, that Hashem alone is the source of this world and everything in it. And once the primary principle of Anochi Hashem is established, the logical next step is ensuring that we're faithful to that truth. And many think of idolatry as the worship of statues and inanimate objects. However, any intelligent person can see that a piece of wood or stone carved out by a human being could not possibly hold any power. So the deeper understanding behind the worship of idolatry, as the Rambam, Ramchal, and many others explain, is the worshipping of intermediaries instead of sourcing ourselves back to Hashem himself. Hashem created this world in such a way that there are levels of reality. Hashem is the ultimate source, and the intermediaries receive energy from him and then manifest it into the world. Avodah Zarah is when you don't recognize Hashem as the source, but rather trace things back only as far as the intermediaries. The statues that people worship are merely tangible representations of the higher forces they're serving. And worshipping Avodah Zarah is betraying our true source for the intermediaries, which is the ultimate unfaithfulness to Hashem. And Matan Torah established our marriage to Hashem. And idolatry is the betrayal of the commitment and connection of that marriage. The prohibition against adultery is the corresponding dibra on the left. Why? Because adultery is unfaithfulness in marriage, betraying the trust and loyalty integral to a relationship. Any illicit relationship is a breakdown of what a proper relationship represents. Therefore, Avodah Zarah and adultery are inherently connected. And this pattern continues with the remaining 6 dibros. However, there's an apparent problem with the last dibra on the right side. Kibbud Avayim, the commandment to honor one's parents, is the 5th commandment, the last of those on the right side of the luchos. However, as we've already explained, the right side of the luchos is reserved for mitzvos bin adam l'makam, between man and God. And while it might not always seem so, parents are human too. So why then is the mitzvah of honoring one's parents included on the right side of the luchos? Well, the answer is like this. The right side of luchos contains the mitzvos bin adam l'makam, but the deeper theme of the right side is mitzvos between man and his source, bin adam l'makor. The first 4 are bin adam l'makam, between man and his ultimate source, Hashem. But the 5th is kibbud avayim, which is between man and his more immediate source, his parents. And this juxtaposition reveals a deep connection between these mitzvahs, because the first step towards tracing yourself back to Hashem is recognizing that I am not my own creator. I have a source. And kibbud avayim is the first step towards doing so. Recognizing that our parents are our source is the first step in tracing ourselves all the way back to our ancestors, then to Avraham, then Noach, and eventually all the way back to Adam HaRishon, until finally we get back to Hashem himself. And in doing so, we trace our individual existence back to Hashem's creation of the world itself. Kibbud avayim is therefore the perfect transition between bin adam l'makam and bin adam l'chavira, because this mitzvah serves as the springboard for the connection between you and Hashem. And recognizing that someone created us helps train us to source everything in our lives back to Hashem. So, after clarifying why kibbud avayim is on the right side of the luchos, we still have to explain its connection to the prohibition against jealousy, lo sachma, which is on the left side. And while some consider the prohibition of lo sachma to only be transgressed when one acts upon their thoughts of jealousy, many consider even the thoughts and feelings of jealousy themselves as a violation of this prohibition. But how is it possible for us to avoid these thoughts? Well, each one of us is entrusted with a unique mission in this world, and Hashem gives each of us the unique talents, skills, and drives that we need in order to fulfill that mission. Hashem is our source, and therefore the source of everything we have. Every aspect of our life was designed specifically for us. And when we understand that every single aspect of our life is given to us in order to help us fulfill our unique purpose, what another person has becomes irrelevant, and jealousy becomes nonsensical. Nothing that somebody else has is necessary for your mission, and you are the only person who's able to fulfill your unique purpose. Hashem not only gave you your unique mission, but also gave you all the tools you need to achieve your purpose in this world. And instilling this understanding in ourselves allows us to live without any feelings of jealousy, as our full focus becomes directed towards maximizing our time in this world to fulfill our unique potential. And aside for being jealous of other people's possessions or circumstances, there's a tendency to be jealous of other people's success and achievements. However, the same principle applies here, because nobody else's successes affects ours, nor should it diminish our self-worth. We're all part of one nation, one people, one team. There's no room for jealousy when we're all working towards a shared mission. On the contrary, we should celebrate other people's victories as our own. For example, one's ear would never be jealous of their nose because they're part of the same body. And at root, they want what's best for the body, for the collective self. If we viewed ourselves as limbs of the body of Klal Yisrael, we would never be jealous of our fellow Jew. And this is what Kibbud Av Va'em teaches us, the importance of tracing everything in our life back to its source, to Hashem. When we realize that our entire existence in this world and all of the circumstances and challenges that we face comes from Hashem, there's no place for jealousy, because Hashem has given each of us the exact tools that we need to succeed in our mission. And when we picture the Luchos, what do we think of? We instinctively conjure up an image of two rounded tablets. However, the Gemara explicitly states that the Luchos were cubic or rectangular. So why does almost every shul depict the Luchos with two rounded tops, as an almost heart-shaped figure? But the depth behind this is that the Luchos are intrinsically connected to the heart. The Aseres Hadibros are the heart of the Torah, and we're told to engrave them into our hearts. Kasam al luach libecha. And this idea touches upon the unique nature of the Luchos and how they were written, because there are four possible ways to record an idea in writing. The first is to use an adhesive, such as glue, paste, or tape, to attach the message to the medium. And this is the weakest form of writing because the message remains separate from the medium, and it can easily be erased or removed. The second is to use ink on paper. And in this case, the message is not easily removed because the message is more connected to the medium itself. However, the ink still remains on the surface of the paper, separate from the medium. It's the very contrast between the ink and the blank paper that allows you to understand the message. But the third is to engrave the message into the medium itself. And as such, the message becomes part of the medium and can't be erased. But the deeper form of writing, perhaps the deepest form of writing, is to bore the message completely through the medium, whereby the message becomes one with the medium itself. And this fourth level is how the Luchos were written. The Pasuk says that the letters of the Luchos were engraved through the stone and could miraculously be read both on the front and the back of the tablets. And Chazal discussed the miraculous way in which letters such as the Samach and Mem Sofit both had inner pieces that floated in the air, disconnected from any other part of the stone. And at its root, this is the deep message of the Luchos. We have to engrave their words onto our hearts. We have to become one with the medium. We have to become one with these mitzvos. We can't simply perform the mitzvos. We have to become the mitzvos. May we be inspired to fully embrace Matan Torah this year and merit to fulfill the directive of Kasvem al luach libecha, to engrave these words onto our hearts.